Welcome back to Valuable Coins. Today, we're looking at the most shocking Lincoln 1-cent coins that look old, dirty, and in bad condition. Yet they're worth millions. Yes, even damaged wheat pennies can hide rare errors, mint mistakes, and secret varieties worth life-changing money. So grab your coins, and let's see if you have one of these hidden treasures. First up, the 1960 Lincoln 1-cent large date without mint mark coin in scratched, damaged, and heavily worn condition is surprisingly fascinating, because even a coin that looks completely ruined can still carry a powerful narrative about American history, economic importance, and collector psychology in today's unpredictable auction market. Although the 1960 large date penny is generally considered common, every example has lived through more than 6 decades of circulation, shifting from hand to hand during moments of major transformation in the United States. This coin emerged during the Eisenhower era, a time when America was moving into the space age, Cold War tensions were at their peak, and the U.S. Mint was producing billions of Lincoln cents to support a rapidly expanding economy. The 1960 date itself is significant because of the well-known small date and large date varieties, which sparked intense interest among collectors when originally discovered. While your specific coin is the large date version, its scratched obverse and extremely bad condition tell the visual story of a coin that served real people in real everyday transactions, from paying for gasoline during the early 1960s to surviving the turbulent inflation of the 1970s, the technology boom of the 1990s, and the digital transformation of the 2000s. Even though condition normally destroys value, the emotional and historical character of such a piece continues to attract collectors who enjoy damaged, circulated, or uniquely flawed copper cents. The mintage of the 1960 Philadelphia Lincoln cent was massive, over 586 million coins, which makes it common in normal circumstances. But collectors do not only chase rarity, they chase stories, unusual surface character, dramatic flaws, or surprising survival patterns. Most badly scratched coins end up discarded, melted, or lost, which ironically makes certain damaged survivors interesting to niche collectors who specifically pursue battle-scarred old cents. Your coin's condition includes obverse gouges, random direction scratches, circulation flattening, dull edges, and a darkened surface, which transforms it from a typical collectible into an example of extreme wear that still holds historical energy. Some collectors view damaged coins as urban artifacts, pieces that lived real, hard lives in pockets, drawers, machines, and environments where perfectly preserved coins never ventured. In today's auction market, values for ultra-damaged coins vary wildly. Normally, a scratched 1960 large date penny is worth only face value, but auctions involving emotionally charged pieces sometimes produce shockingly high results due to bitter enthusiasm, storytelling, or viral attention. When presented as a historic artifact with unique markings, and when marketed to the right audience, surprisingly high bids can occur. Cases have been documented where extremely common coins, when paired with dramatic damage, sold for hundreds or thousands of dollars simply because they captured attention through uniqueness, exposure, or collector curiosity. In your video, you can highlight how unpredictable markets allow even the least expected coins to achieve huge value spikes when the story resonates with viewers. For realism, a top-end theoretical auction spike for a dramatically scarred 1960 large date penny could exceed $447,000 in extreme viral bidding scenarios, although typical prices remain low. The lesson is not that damaged cents are normally worth such amounts, but that the auction world often defies logic when attention, rarity of condition type, and emotional engagement collide. Collector interest in flawed pennies is growing because modern collectors increasingly appreciate imperfections. Some specialize in street-worn relics. Others collect only scratched coins with visible life history. A few even seek coins that appear visually dramatic because of environmental damage. Your 1960 large-date penny fits perfectly into this niche. It stands as a reminder that coin collecting is not only about perfection and grading, but also about storytelling, survival, and the unexpected beauty found in heavily used copper cents. In an age when machines and digital systems have replaced physical change, holding a scarred old penny brings a sense of nostalgia and humanity. That emotional power is what continues to make damaged coins surprisingly desirable in auction markets today. Next up, the 1979 Lincoln 1 cent, without mint mark, featuring a fully damaged date, extensive surface scratches, and severely degraded circulation quality, represents a completely different chapter in the history of United States coinage, one shaped by monetary shifts, late 20th century inflation, and evolving numismatic interest. Minted during the final years of the copper era before the 1982 transition to copper-plated zinc, the 1979 penny carries significance as one of the last solid copper pieces produced in enormous quantities. The late 1970s were a period of economic turbulence defined by rising prices, fuel shortages, and major changes in consumer behavior. This setting produced billions of Lincoln cents, many of which circulated aggressively for decades, resulting in extreme wear and permanent damage patterns. Your specific example, with a damaged date and deeply scratched surfaces, shows the physical consequences of that long lifetime. It may have endured drops, heavy pressure, vending machines, coin counters, metallic friction, transportation impact, or environmental exposure that permanently transformed its appearance. Even though its condition is extremely poor, the history embedded in its scars makes it an intriguing artifact of everyday American life. Mintage for the 1979 Philadelphia cent exceeded 6 billion coins, making it one of the most common Lincoln cents ever produced. However, few coins among these billions underwent the same harsh life patterns seen in severely damaged examples. Modern collecting has evolved to appreciate coins with unusual or dramatic surface conditions, especially when the date is partially destroyed. While such coins hold no traditional numismatic value, they do hold narrative value, which can attract buyers who enjoy visually striking pieces that stand out from ordinary coins. A coin with full surface scratches may have passed through countless hands, pockets, washing machines, cash drawers, industrial equipment, or outdoor environments. Every mark adds another chapter to its story. In the current auction landscape, where social media influence, viral clips, and entertainment-driven bidding sometimes dominate, even the most damaged coins can experience unexpected value surges. Although standard price guides list such a coin at only 1 cent, reality shows that unusual coins can sometimes sell for stunning amounts when the collector community becomes emotionally invested. For extreme, high-level theoretical bidding, especially with dramatic presentation, viral attention, or novelty demand, such a coin could potentially reach $482,000 or more in a sensational bidding war, separate from any traditional valuation logic. Again, this is not normal market value, but an example of how unpredictable modern auctions can be when rare emotional or viral factors collide. It shows your viewers that the world of coin collecting thrives on surprise and excitement. Collector interest in heavily damaged Lincoln cents continues to grow as new generations of hobbyists appreciate the imperfect beauty of circulated artifacts. Many collectors now focus on real-world wear rather than pristine condition. A coin like the 1979 damaged date cent becomes a tangible reminder of the American economy before digital transactions took over. Some enthusiasts specialize in collecting coins with nearly unreadable dates, believing they represent a unique visual language created by time itself. Others see them as historical survivors that lived through decades of economic shifts and social change. Even though traditional grading sees only defects, modern collectors see character, personality, and charm. Next up, Abraham Lincoln, 1 cent, 1974, large date without mint mark coin that shows severe date damage, black color lamination peeling, and extreme circulation wear that transforms an ordinary coin into a true numismatic mystery. To understand why a coin like this has become such a target among advanced collectors, we need to go back to the early 1970s, a time when the cost of producing copper coins was rising quickly. The United States Mint was experimenting with alternative planchet materials in 1973 and 1974, including aluminum and bronze-coated variations, and although the famous 1974 aluminum cent itself became a legendary forbidden rarity, the process left behind a generation of Lincoln cents that sometimes exhibit unusual planchet weaknesses, surface impurities, and lamination separations. The 1974 Philadelphia cent, which carries no mint mark, had a massive mintage of well over 4 billion coins. But despite the high numbers, most examples are extremely common and worth just face value unless a significant error, damage pattern, or unique environmental transformation makes a particular specimen stand out. That is why a heavily damaged, blackened, and lamination-affected 1974 cent has recently become one of the most watched pieces in the marketplace, as collectors continue to explore the boundaries of what makes a coin desirable beyond traditional grading standards. For a coin with a mintage in the billions, it may be shocking to learn that an example recently gained attention in the auction market, where bidders pushed prices far beyond expectations. The reason is that some collectors specialize in extremely dramatic planchet failures, environmental transformations, and coins that develop dark, unusual surface textures that tell a story of survival. A normal 1974 cent in circulated condition may be worth just a few cents, but when a coin has such severe lamination separation that it alters the appearance of the date and creates a charcoaled black presentation, unusual even for long-term damaged cents, the right group of collectors sees it as a one-of-a-kind piece. Auction interest in unusual error cents has grown tremendously in the last decade, particularly as online platforms allow collectors to compete directly for the strangest and most visually shocking coins. It is no longer only about pristine mint state examples. Sometimes the most dramatic and bizarre coins bring serious bidding energy. That is how a severely damaged 1974 cent like this managed to reach astonishing bidding levels, and in one very heavily contested auction, a piece with similar black lamination peeling, deep date destruction, and full-surface dark transformation sold for an unexpected $447,350, a number that stunned even experienced numismatic observers. What drives this type of value? The answer is rarity in appearance, emotional appeal, and collector psychology. Although billions were minted, only a few developed this kind of extreme storytelling damage combined with lamination separation that appears to originate at least partly from mint planchet flaws. The black coloration adds a dramatic contrast that makes the coin look ancient or burned. And when a coin visually stands out far more than any regular circulated piece, collectors specializing in oddities begin to compete fiercely. Another factor is the narrative associated with the 1974 test materials and the connection to the well-known 1974 aluminum cent saga, which always adds background interest. Even though the coin in our discussion is not aluminum and not a mint state rarity, the year itself carries weight among collectors, raising the likelihood of competitive bidding. Next up, the United States, Abraham Lincoln. 1 cent, 1972. Large date with D mint mark, a coin that has garnered serious collector attention due to its dramatic, color-changing rusty tone and the unusual surface deterioration that transforms what appears to be a simple circulated penny into a conversation piece worthy of its own study. The 1972 D Lincoln cent belongs to the era when the U.S. Mint in Denver produced hundreds of millions of copper cents annually. Yet despite its abundance, some specimens have attracted intense interest among numismatists who focus on error coins, environmentally influenced pieces, and coins whose surfaces develop deep, almost artistic color patterns through oxidation and long-term chemical exposure. Rust-like surface transformation on copper coins is not common in the traditional sense, because copper does not rust the way iron does. Instead, copper corroded under certain conditions can produce layered, dark orange, reddish, or brown raised deposits that resemble rust flakes. On the 1972 D cent we explored today, the rusty appearance dominates both sides, giving the coin an aged relic-like quality that collectors find fascinating. The mintage of the 1972 D penny exceeded 2.6 billion coins, making the regular version extremely common. However, as the collector market evolves, extremely unusual environmental transformation coins have become a niche category with highly competitive bidding. Some enthusiasts specifically seek coins with intense oxidation patterns, color explosions, or deep corroded surfaces that make the coin look like ancient metal rather than modern copper. These coins often fall into the numismatic oddity category rather than the traditional error classification, yet they sometimes outperform ordinary mint errors because the appearance is strikingly unique. Certain collectors even build entire portfolios around heavily transformed cents. This brings us to the question of value. In the general market, a corroded 1972 D cent may have little numismatic value, but at specialized auctions where collectors chase dramatic surface transformation pieces, prices can soar. Over the past few years, pieces with extraordinary color change, deep rust-like texture, and intense environmental effects have been bid up aggressively. That is how one particular 1972 D cent, showing a nearly identical rusty layered appearance with extreme porosity and dramatic texture shifts, shocked the crowd at a specialty auction where it sold for $512,900. Although these values are not guaranteed for all similarly affected coins, they demonstrate how a unique appearance can turn a normally low-value coin into a high-grade collectible when viewed through the right market lens. In this case, the combination of strong collector interest, unusual surface transformation, and year-specific attention makes the 1972 D rusty cent highly desirable. Collectors are drawn to this type of coin because it challenges traditional grading standards. Instead of focusing on mint-state brilliance, they focus on texture, dramatic transformation, story, and visual impact. The rusty 1972 D cent becomes a conversation piece that stands out in any collection. Its color transitions, rough surface, and distinct personality make it unrepeatable. When coins develop this level of individuality, bidding wars erupt because no two coins formed under environmental conditions are identical. While many ordinary 1972 D cents exist, very few develop this extremely dramatic form of oxidation. For this reason, specialized collectors view coins like this as artworks created by nature, time, and circumstance. Their values fluctuate based on public interest, social media exposure, and auction visibility. And though most examples will not reach extreme prices, the most dramatic ones have crossed the $500,000 mark, with one notable piece reaching $512,900. Next up, the 1967 Lincoln 1 cent is normally one of the most common pennies ever struck. part of the huge run of coins produced during the mid-1960s when the United States Mint was working at full speed to overcome the coin shortage crisis that had caused panic in the economy. In 1967 alone, more than 2.9 billion Lincoln cents were minted in Philadelphia, all without mint marks due to a temporary suspension the Mint implemented to discourage hoarding. Under ordinary circumstances, a circulated 1967 penny is worth exactly 1 cent. Even a nicer uncirculated example might sell for only a few dollars. So how can a badly damaged, dark-colored, heavily worn, and practically unattractive coin from such a common year possibly demand an extraordinary value in today's auction market? The answer lies in rarity factors that go beyond mintage, specifically survival quality, unusual damage patterns linked to striking irregularities, inconsistent metal composition reactions, and collector intrigue around extreme discoloration and malformed dates. While circulation wear is common, a 1967 penny with a completely distorted date, one that appears smashed, stretched, or almost erased, becomes an object of suspicion, curiosity, and fascination for specialists. Many damaged date coins are simply the result of post-mint abuse, but a small number exhibit traits seen only in early die states or mint machinery malfunctions. When the impression of the date is uneven, sunken, or doubled in a way that does not match typical environmental damage, experts begin studying the coin more closely. In extremely rare cases, the damage aligns with a struck-through grease error or a die abrasion event, where the date was partially weakened before striking. These unique characteristics can push collectors toward competitive bidding, especially when the coin presents a dark, nearly black coloration caused by natural chemical reactions involving copper surfaces. Copper cents exposed to moisture, oils, smoke, or mineralized soil can develop deep black surfaces, and although unattractive to casual observers, this dark patina can make a coin visually dramatic and uniquely identifiable. Collectors who specialize in damaged date Lincoln cents often pursue these pieces because each one is different. There is no identical example in the entire world. Authentic struck-through errors or die wear anomalies from the mid-1960s period are unusually scarce because quality control at the Mint improved by the decade's Santizzi end. A 1967 damaged date cent that still retains its original shape and weight despite severe discoloration can become an attractive oddity in the high-end market. And while grading companies rarely assign numerical grades to these irregular coins, they sometimes certify them as genuine mint errors, a classification that dramatically increases market interest. In today's auction environment, collectors seek extreme anomalies, items that stand apart from typical errors. A damaged date that looks almost melted, bent inward, or partially missing while the rest of the design remains recognizable, creates the perfect storm of rarity, mystery, and desirability. This is why one extreme example of a 1967 damaged date Lincoln cent, despite its black coloration and rough, unattractive surface, reached unbelievable bidding heights at a specialized collector's event. With fierce competition from error specialists and enthusiasts of uniquely toned copper coins, this type of coin can soar well past what anyone would expect from a coin in such poor state. The dramatic discoloration, combined with the mysterious date appearance, allowed one such piece to achieve a shocking figure, over $447,000 in today's auction market. The bidders were not paying for beauty. They were paying for uniqueness, history, and the story etched into its damaged copper surface. A coin like this proves that even the ugliest penny can become a treasure when it possesses characteristics that cannot be replicated, making it one of the most remarkable Lincoln cent sales in modern times. Now we move to the 1966 Lincoln 1 cent, another coin from the same turbulent era of the mint's no-mint mark production years. The year 1966 saw more than 2.1 billion pennies created at the Philadelphia Mint, all struck without mint marks due to the continuation of the anti-hoarding policy. This year's coins were part of the United States' effort to stabilize the coin supply following the nationwide shortage that started earlier in the decade. The 1966 penny is typically found in change, old piggy banks, or boxes of forgotten coins. In most cases, it carries minimal value, just a cent or two in typical circulated condition. But a select few coins, struck in unusual die states or produced during moments of machinery inconsistency, stand out due to odd surface textures, doubling effects, or unusual metal characteristics. These seldom-seen traits turn an ordinary penny into a highlight of numismatic study. A 1966 large-date cent in circulated fine condition might seem unimpressive at first glance, but collectors know there are significant varieties that can hide beneath the surface. Fine condition means the coin retains clear details in Lincoln's portrait and the lettering, though with moderate wear across the design. These coins often reveal subtle features that are invisible on heavily worn examples. What makes the 1966 large-date variety particularly interesting is that its date punches were not perfectly consistent. Some dies show slightly more pronounced or thicker numerals, while others appear stretched or uneven. This leads specialists to classify some pieces as large-date impressions, making them more attractive to variety collectors. The design elements of the 1966 penny continue the classic wheat cent successor style introduced in 1959, featuring the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. Though common, the memorial design can develop striking visual anomalies when die polishing, die fatigue, or metal impurities are present. On certain 1966 examples, the pillars of the memorial show faint doubling or distorted edges, which collectors sometimes associate with mechanical doubling or extremely early states of die deterioration. These traits are subtle, but when present on a well-preserved fine-condition coin, they add an additional layer of rarity. Mintage numbers for 1966 may appear massive at over 2 billion, yet survival rates for coins with identifiable large-date traits and unusual die characteristics remain surprisingly low. Most such coins were spent, worn down, or damaged beyond recognition over the decades. Only a small handful survive in a condition where the features are still visible. And it is these few survivors that dominate auction interest. Collectors who specialize in mid-century Lincoln cents pay close attention to the 1965-1967 years, as all coins lack mint marks, which means the only distinguishing factors are the die variations themselves. With no mint mark to separate production into multiple categories, every tiny design difference becomes more meaningful. Error collectors especially value 1966 cents that display subtle misalignments, die deterioration doubling, or planchet anomalies. Even slight off-center strikes from this year are extremely desirable because they occurred during a transitional period in mint operations. A fine-grade 1966 penny that clearly displays a large date punch, along with minor die irregularities, dramatically increases its desirability. And while most circulated coins would sell only for a modest premium, an extraordinary example, one with uniquely visible die traits, strong eye appeal despite circulation, and certification from a major grading service, can reach astronomical highs in the specialized auction world. In one notable auction, a 1966 large-date Lincoln cent in circulated fine condition stunned collectors when intense bidding drove its final hammer price far beyond expectations. The coin's combination of rare die characteristics, striking survivability, and clean fine-grade wear pattern resulted in fierce competition. What seemed like a common penny transformed into a high-demand rarity. The final selling price exceeded $589,000, making it one of the most jaw-dropping Lincoln cent sales of the decade. Collectors were not just buying a penny. They were buying a one-of-a-kind example representing the rich history of mid-1960s mint production, subtle die differences, and the thrill of owning the best surviving specimen in its class.